Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
Okay, anybody during the last week experienced any of these symptoms? I have. Extreme sadness. Anybody have extreme sadness last week? Okay. Low energy. It's just, it's another day, low energy. Anxiety. Anybody have any anxiety last week? Crying episodes. Those can actually be good, sometimes. Works it out of the system. Anybody been irritable during the last week? Come on now. Even a little bit? All right. Any people have change in eating or sleeping habits? You are in the right place this morning because I am here to tell you I researched all of these symptoms that people have been reporting to me during the last week, and I found out what the cause is. The cause of all these symptoms, and probably more, is this: postpartum depression. So a lot of you in the room this morning may be suffering from postpartum depression. Thank you for the chuckle. Seriously, it's a mood order. A lot of you know this, that's associated with childbirth, and though it frequently impacts the mother, it also can impact the father and other family members. And the reason for this is that you've just given birth, for God's sake. You've been anticipating this for 9 months, and suddenly this new life comes out of you, and all of a sudden it's pretty natural to understand that there would be sort of an anticlimactic fall after the childbirth. That's postpartum depression. And let me tell you this morning that the whole Easter story is about birth. I know you think that was the Christmas story, but actually it was the Easter story, because in the Easter story we find that from the ruins of the crucifixion comes forth what? New life. And so last Sunday was an experience symbolic of the new life that is emerging in each and every one of us. And when that new life first shows itself on the scene, it is big time, big stuff. And we're excited and we're thrilled, and everything that we've ever been through in life was worth it, because now the new life has dawned. And all of a sudden, just like when you give birth to a baby, there can be a period after that experience that feels something like a letdown. It's like, well, it was Easter Sunday. I heard the trumpets sounding and I was ready to walk into the Holy Land, and all of a sudden, I'm back to life as it used to be. I'm back to that horrible condition that we call normalcy. Anybody feeling really normal this morning? Let me tell you, normal is one thing you don't want to be. I know that most of us have spent our lives trying to prove that we're normal, prove that we're all right. Let me tell you, none of us is normal. Normal is the result of a conditioning process whereby a society, out of its own sense of insecurity, has been seeking to get us to conform or to buy into a set of behaviors, traits, and qualities that may or may not have anything to do with the truth of who we are. And I can assure you, when you are expressing the truth of who you are not going to be normal. Just look at me. Really, and you don't want to be normal. You want to be unique. You want to be one of a kind. That is the way God created you. There is no one else on the planet that can express the beauty and the grace and the presence of God the way you can. So I'm here this morning to tell you that we need to shake off this postpartum depression and recognize that every crucifixion comes into our life for the purpose of resurrection, and those are two of the greatest learning experiences you will ever have. Your crucifixions are wonderful. They are fertile soil for you to dig into, get your hands into. We run away from the crucifixion. Let's don't do that anymore. The crucifixion is a gift. Dive into it. I'm going to get everything I can out of my crucifixion. I'm going to get everything I can out of my resurrection so that I can take everything I learned from those two experiences and bring it into my everyday life experience, to make it richer, to make it more peaceful, to make it more joyous, to make it more filled with life, true life and vitality, to bring more love, to be of greater service in the world. And finally, to live more abundantly. So this morning I'm going to offer you some of the gems of wisdom that I have gleaned from my own crucifixions and resurrections. And all of us, remember, have our own unique curriculum in this undertaking, which means that what I have learned from my crucifixions and resurrections may not be what you have learned. But I want to encourage you nonetheless to look at the times when you've been through pain and suffering, to look at those moments when you've been hanging on the cross, to remember those times in which you have risen above your human limitations or your own idea of what you were capable of and stepped into something greater and grander. And what did you learn from those experiences, and how can you bring that learning into your life today in a way that makes it richer and happier and healthier? The first thing is to remember, my friends, that every single morning of your life can be Easter morning. I don't know about you, when I woke up Easter morning, I was on fire. I felt really good. I was excited about coming here. I was saying, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. It's Easter Sunday, because there's just something in the air on Easter Sunday. Well, guess what? That something is not just being pumped or piped in on Easter Sunday. That something is the essence of your life and my life, and it's available to each and every one of us all the time whenever we choose to accept it. It is possible to wake up every single morning and say, thank God, I am so grateful, happy, and joyous to be alive. And this is going to be the greatest day of my life. I'm going to resurrect like I've never resurrected before. Look out, here I come. I'm anything but normal. I am exclusive, I am special, I am unique, I am one of a kind, and I'm going to go out in the world. Every single day is Easter Day. Every single moment is a moment of inspiration. The key is this, and I think I've told you this now for the last 2 weeks, so this is week number 3 in a row. I think that's because it's important. Don't let yourself get stuck on the cross. When you're in pain and suffering, realize, here we go again. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to grow from this, but I'm not going to get stuck in it. I'm not going to hang on the cross. And it's so easy to do. You hang on the cross, my friends, anytime you're looking at the problem more than you are looking at the possibility. So don't get stuck on the cross. Let go of the past, and for heaven's sake, literally move forward. You are here to ascend, to rise, to move forward. In the book of Isaiah, in the 43rd chapter, 18th verse, remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? You will never be able to perceive the new thing if you are fixated on the old thing. Are you with me on this? And it's very easy to get caught up in looking at the old, or when the old is gone, longing for the old days. Now, I love everybody that's a friend of mine on Facebook, but there is one individual who repeatedly puts up these posts that talk about the good old days. And they put up sort of antiquated, old-fashioned pictures of things and ask whether or not you can remember these things. Well, you know what? I can remember them, but I don't want to remember them, because in their place have come other things that are better and that serve me more. So we don't want to get stuck looking at the old. We don't want to get so fixated on the breakdown. If anybody in the room this morning is going through a breakdown, remember this: breakdowns are very alluring, and they're very compelling, and they're very mesmerizing. Oh, look at every single detail of what is breaking down here in my life. Did I miss anything? I want to look at everything that's breaking down. I want to talk about everything that's breaking down. You know anybody that does that? Oh my God, another break today. This is grim. No, I'm telling you, it's breaking down for a reason. It's breaking down so that something more beautiful and powerful can break through. So stop fixating yourself on, oh my God, it's all going to hell in a handbasket, and look at what heaven is trying to bring into your door. It's something beautiful every single time. So we don't want to get stuck on the old. We want to follow this admonition of Scripture and start moving more effectively toward the new. The other thing that I've learned from my crucifixions, and there have been more than a few of them, and I expect there will be. I don't think I'll be as fearful of them anymore when they arrive, but that's yet to be seen, because I'm growing and there's always a surprise around the next corner. But even whatever it may bring, fear, joy, anticipation, dread, there's a fortune, a veritable fortune in the word misfortune. And it's the same thing. What are you going to look at? Are you going to look at the misfortune? Are you going to look at the breakdown? Or are you going to look at the breakthrough? Are you going to look at the fortune? And so the moment misfortune arrives, you convince yourself, I am not going to miss the fortune. Because the fortune is there, okay? So in the middle of misfortune, I am going to look wholeheartedly and with great devotion and dedication to the fortune that is there. Things are never as they seem. All the power of the cosmos, all the power of the cosmos, please hear those words, is working on your behalf. I know you feel victimized by a world of time and space, circumstances and individuals, but this is the reality. Today's problem is always, and the key word here is always, today's problem is always tomorrow's possibility. So the resurrection, the crucifixion, all of this experience helps us to remember it's very important what you focus on through both processes. Who can think right now this morning of one misfortune in their life that ultimately came to pass as a fortune? I can't believe that every hand is not up because this is life. It brings things, oh my God, a misfortune, up, down the road, it becomes a fortune. So remember that misfortune is fortune, oftentimes in clever disguise, but nonetheless, it is your fortune. Here's one that's a little difficult to swallow. I still sometimes find it a little painful to digest. Suffering is a choice. You, me, everybody on this planet, this is a victim-free environment. Suffering is a choice, and until you recognize that, as difficult as it may be, you're not going to be able to free yourself from its compelling grip. Embrace all people and circumstances, oh, this is a piece of cake, as they are, without stress, no fear. Because resistance ensures suffering, and all your suffering is rooted in some form of resistance. Did you know that? If you're suffering this morning right now, it's because you're resisting something. Acceptance always supports forward movement, and this is a phrase you've heard me say and many others, I'm sure. Whatever I resist is certain to persist because your resistance actually feeds it. Here's a good one, and it's sort of summation of everything that I will ever talk to you about on a Sunday morning. Consciousness produces experience. My friends, you have really one very important task that probably nobody ever told you about when you were getting educated in your early years. It is to be the guardian of your energy field. Every one of us, every day, every moment, is pouring energy into the collective energetic field of the human family. And we pour that energy in with every thought that we think, with every feeling that we experience, with every reaction that we bring into the world. We are the guardians. Nobody else can be the guardian of what we are pouring into the collective energetic field of humanity. So I ask you this morning, what is it that you're pouring into the vessel of life every day? And remember that the longer that you are hanging on that cross or in a state of suffering or persecution, you're not going to be pouring the highest quality energetic contribution into this field of which you are capable. Do not affiliate long with resentment, hurt, or betrayal. You think that these things are hurting other people. I assure you they are not. They are hurting only you as the one who is harboring the thought that is creating them in your experience. They serve only to show you that there are alternative thoughts to think. Their cumulative effect, and please hear me on this, the cumulative effect of every little petty even piece of anger or betrayal that lingers in you, every piece of resentment or hurt that lingers in you contributes to this collective field. And once enough people contribute to this collective field, catastrophic destruction can occur. So even a moment of a negative thought, even a moment of a thought of feeling betrayed or hurt or angry can contribute to this. We are the guardians of our energetic field. Think about God as often as you possibly can. All right? I now have the clock in front of me with a second hand, and I'm going to invite you to enter with me into an exercise that you will think, that's a piece of cake. Just give it a try with me. For, I was going to say 60, but I'll just go for 30 seconds. I want you to think about nothing but God. Okay? You with me? Simple instruction. Let's start right now. God, 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 God. Do you know that for the last 30 seconds you have just participated in the single greatest contribution that you can ever make to improving your own life and life on this planet? Think about God as often as you can. Especially when you're in the midst of turmoil, especially when you're hanging on that cross. Don't you know, my friends, in that moment when you are hanging on the cross is the hardest moment to think about God. Because what you want to think about is the pain and the suffering and the injustice of it all. Next, humility and power are companions. People think that if you're humble, you're not powerful, and yet I'm telling you right now in this room this morning, the only power you'll ever really find that is worth having is the power that comes from humility. There is no such thing as personal power. All power comes from the divine, of which you are an exquisite expression. Knowing your place in the universe humbles you to the core and brings you to the power of the infinite. The violin never gets a big head over the success of the symphony. Say that again. The violin never gets a big head over the success of the symphony. Why? Because it understands it is one instrument playing with many other instruments that together create something beautiful. That's all you have to remember. Yes, you are exquisite. Yes, you are powerful, but it is your place and your part and the contribution you are making to the whole orchestration that really gives you power. And finally, and this is no news to anybody, but it is something that following a crucifixion or a resurrection experience in your life, you cannot remember too often. And that is that love and gratitude are your most valuable allies. Love and gratitude, which are direct indications or qualities of the divine. Build these two statements into your vocabulary and speak them silently and aloud to yourself and all others as often as possible. There was a lady a few months ago, who came up to me and she said, "You know, you really bug me." So, when somebody tells you that, it's like right away, I remember what Byron Katie says, anytime you can accept criticism, you're free. Anytime you can wholeheartedly welcome criticism, that's what she says, you're free. So this doesn't look good. You really bug me, okay? Non-defensive behavior. Defense is the first act of war, so go ahead. Is there more? I remember from years ago in therapy with my former wife, the therapist would always say that when we came to the end of what we were going to say, we were supposed to look at the other person and say, is there anything more? So in my mind, I didn't say it out loud to this lady who I bugged. I said, is there anything more? Yes, there is. It really bothers me that you say thank you all the time. Oh, well, because I don't think it's sincere. I think it just comes out of you, and I'm not comfortable receiving it all the time. This was a serious conversation, and I realized in my mind that she was just going to have to live with that. Because saying thank you is just too bloomin' important to me. Saying I love you is just too important to me. Now, what I have learned is that it's very important not to worry about what comes back to you, whether it's that you're bugging somebody or whatever it may be, and certainly not to expect someone to say thank you or I love you in return for your having said it to them. But you say it because these are very important words, and you don't just say them in a fleeting manner. You go deep into the center of your being so that you can say, wow, Cindy, Cheryl, I love you, and I thank you. Juan, I love you so much, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. There are people all over right now, my friends, in whose life you can make a huge contribution just by saying thank you and really meaning it from the bottom of your heart. These are people that you may know, family members, co-workers. They may be people that you've never met, you're meeting for the first time. But if you really follow your heart, what you'll realize is these words are powerful and these words are magical. They can change your life when you speak them, even if it's silently to yourself. Just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Gratitude and love, hallmarks of the divine. And they are guaranteed to bring you down off any cross in your life and allow you to experience the resurrection that follows. Here's our affirmation for today, and I'm going to speak it with as much depth as I possibly can as I bring these comments to a close. Today, that's this moment, right here and right now, today, the fleeting experience, and it is fleeting, isn't it, of Easter morning, comes and it goes so quickly. Today, the fleeting experience of Easter morn lives in my heart with each passing moment. Each crucifixion brings a resurrection that impacts the way I live my life for the better. My dear friends, the very worst thing you could ever do would be to walk through a crucifixion in resistance or hesitation without totally embracing the possibility of the resurrection that inevitably will follow in such a way as that you can recognize both of these aspects to be parts of the same cycle that are always, always, and ever lifting you up. That's how it happens. Crucifixion, letting go, a little pain, a little suffering, bumping up to the next level. The resurrection comes along. And this continues, and it continues as your life becomes more and more effective in terms of those experiences that bring you fulfillment, but also in terms of what you are then able to walk out into this world every day and broadcast, to pour into the collective energetic field that is allowing all of humanity to reach that point where someday, somewhere, somehow, we don't have to have a crucifixion anymore. We don't have to have a resurrection because we are living in the ascended state of the awareness of our divine identity. God bless you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to invite our ushers to come forward, and as they do, last week I mentioned quite a few of the organizations that Unity on the Bay supports through your love offerings and your tithes, and we have over 30 nonprofits that we support throughout the year. Today I'm going to invite you to just consider the place of not where you're giving to, but the place from which you are giving. What is the consciousness? What are you giving from? As you prepare your love offerings and your tithes, I invite you to consider, are you giving from a sense of generosity, a sense of gratitude, a sense of love? Are you giving from a place of lack or limitation, of not thinking that you have or are enough? And so if you are, shift it. Generosity, love, are natural states of being. And so to support us in that shift, I'm just going to invite you to take a deep breath with me. And silently to yourself, just call forth that spirit of oneness, of love, generosity, abundance, prosperity. Just feel it within you. And now speak our love offering blessing with me. Divine love, that I am, blesses all that I give and all that I receive. Amen.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would reign forever, exalted in the sea. But as long as you are with me.
We hope hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.